Hi, my name is Melissa Ellis, and I am currently a technology integration coach at Simmons Middle School within the Hoover City Schools District. Welcome to my session on reflective digital portfolios. I first want to direct your attention to the pre survey link. Please click on this link and take the pre survey. Following taking the pre survey, please return to this presentation and then click on the link to the presentation. This link will force you to make a copy of the presentation, and this is the presentation that we will work from today. So let's get started. The purpose of this session today is to discuss how reflective digital portfolios can be used in the classroom or throughout the school building. I will discuss three different types of portfolios. I will show an advisory portfolio, an example of an academic portfolio, and another example of a project-based learning portfolio. This is our home slide. You can use this slide to access any of the other parts of the presentation. To return to this slide at any time, simply click on the home button, which should be on each slide of this presentation. I also want to direct your attention to the link icon. Anytime you see the link icon, this is a link to another resource to learn more about that specific topic. Today, we will use reflective digital portfolios using Google Sites. Therefore, you will need access to a Google account to complete the hands-on portion of this session. So let's get started. Let's discuss what you can include in your portfolios and the various types of portfolios. Portfolios can use any type of artifact that a student or a teacher wants to include in the presentation or in their website. These artifacts can include papers and projects from throughout the year, evaluations from assignments, tests, and projects, recognition and rewards, writing samples, stories, journal entries, photos, drawings, videos, and pretty much any other electronic evidence that you want to include in your digital portfolio. So let's begin first with the advisory portfolio. I want to direct your attention to this screen first. I will initially explain and show the various types of portfolios. In addition, I have listed instructions on how to make a copy of this template. I will also explain this a little bit later on, so just take a pause and don't click on this link just yet. So, an advisory portfolio can be used throughout your school building. It can be used for multiple grade levels and over time. So, for example, if you work in a high school setting, an advisory portfolio can be used throughout your advisory class periods or within your content areas from 9th to 12th grade. So let's take a look at an example. So within this portfolio was created for a middle school. And so students on their homepage, again, we're using Google Sites, on their homepage can create an About Me page on the beginning page, and then they can link to various grade levels. So for example, when I click on my 6th grade classes, and I can organize and edit this page as necessary, I can theme my advisory portfolio as well. And then I can link out to my various classes, which are also listed over here. So if I am currently enrolled in art, I can give a summary of what I have learned in my art class. And then I can upload projects throughout the year. So if I wanted to have my students upload a project every quarter or every 9 weeks, they can upload one of their favorite projects or a project that they felt was challenging. And then they can answer these 3 reflection questions on the artifacts that they submitted here. So it has those students not only upload and showcase their work, but also reflect on their learning. And this is the same template throughout each grade level. Students can also upload their activities, which would include anything that's outside of academics, because we want to showcase the whole child. So students can upload 2 to 3 images or videos or other media to discuss what things they do outside of school. So if they participate in band or robotics, for example, or if they have a summer job or a hobby. Lastly, students can create personal goals that they could use throughout the year. So what I have linked here is a SMART goal sheet. And so students can create their goals at the beginning of the year and have a checklist and questions that they reflect on throughout the year to see how they are um, doing towards their goals and if they are accomplishing their goals. Again, all of this is editable, but this is just an example of an advisory portfolio. So let's move on. So take about a minute and a half and pause this video. And what I would like you to do is take some think time. So use the space below to brainstorm ways that you could use this portfolio in your classroom. To type into this section, all you'll need to do is press the escape button if you are in present view, and then type in the area and begin to type your notes. So pause this video for a minute and a half and brainstorm ways that you can use this portfolio in your classroom. Now that you've taken time to brainstorm ways that you can use your advisory portfolio, let's go ahead and take a look at the academic portfolio. As a classroom teacher, an academic portfolio really allowed me to assess where my students were and if they were mastering the content and the concepts that I was covering in class. So on their homepage, it's very similar to the advisory page. It's all about them. They can explain who they are. This is at the beginning of the year. Next, I have them upload a copy of our standards page, which I usually include in our LMS. So in Google Classroom, I'll have a kid-friendly document that includes the standards. In addition, I have my students link our daily agenda, which includes our learning targets for throughout the year. Students will reference the standards page and the learning targets throughout the unit assessments. And this is just a home page where I can get to know the students a little bit. So I tell them to link a map to either their favorite location or somewhere they would like to visit, their favorite historical figure, and what are some yearly goals. So this gives me information about the students so I can kind of get to know them at the beginning of the year. Then I create a unit page for each of the units that I plan to cover. At the beginning, my students copy the standards that are linked to just this unit as well as our learning targets from this unit. In addition, I have my students create or complete choice board assignments. Now, this choice board that I have linked here, I actually got it from Teachers Pay Teachers from Inspired in 6, which I have linked in the presentation as well as in this Google site. But I usually have my students choose 3 of these activities, and then they answer the questions below. In addition, I have my students upload 3 different activities from our unit. So these could include assignments, projects, various activities that we've done. So it could have been written work, it could be in-person work, it could also have been videos. And so they upload those activities and just give a short description of what those activities were. And then I have my students answer these 3 questions about each of those activities. So copying and pasting the learning target for that particular activity, why they chose to upload it, and then I want them to rate their understanding of the learning target based on this activity. This then gives me more specific information for how well students are retaining the content and if we need to do any reteaching. And again, this is a part of my assessment for each unit. So I have my students complete each one of these at the end of each assessment. And I even have my students as a final exam take one of these units and pretty much create their own portfolio and relate and discuss how these various units can be either used in society today or how they have impacted society today, and basically bringing culminating relevance to the unit. And so this is a really good way to assess, again, not only what the students know, but connecting those standards, the learning target, and the mastery of the content all together. So Let's just take a little bit more time again. So, a minute and a half, pause this video, and in this space, brainstorm ways that you could use this portfolio in class. The third way that you can use a portfolio in class is through a project-based learning portfolio. So if you are familiar with project-based learning, I used to use project-based learning, particularly in my sociology class, and I would have my students create an ongoing portfolio that we would use throughout the year. So this was after every unit, we created a project, and I would have my students upload that project to their PBL portfolio. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So in my project-based learning portfolio, I would have my students create a new page for each of the projects that we completed throughout the year. So after my students have completed their project, they will upload a copy of the instructions, they will upload their project, and then they would just answer 3 simple reflection questions. Often I kept this to 3 reflection questions because throughout the presentation, throughout each presentation that my students presented in class, they would often have to answer the big idea questions. So I wanted them, by the time they uploaded to their website, I wanted them to more so reflect on those learning targets again and connecting those standards, describing what they learned and why it's important, and then how the knowledge acquired from this project could contribute to their understanding of society and people. Now, that question is very much catered to the sociology world, but you could create your own reflection questions for a PBL portfolio. So let's take again another minute and a half, pause this video, and type in this space, brainstorm ways that you can use this portfolio in your classroom. Let's move on. So I discussed in the academic portfolio how I used choice boards and gave students a lot more voice and choice in the activities and the reflection questions that they answered within each of the portfolios. So here is a link to the portfolio that I used within my classroom, and as well as the Teacher Pay Teachers author, her classroom, where she offers a lot of different choice boards. But you can create your own choice board or you can get ideas from someone else. The best way to assess portfolios are through rubrics. I would often create my rubrics and give those students those rubrics ahead of time so they knew what was expected. You can create your own rubrics from scratch, or you could use any of the 2 websites down here that I have linked. And so these are free rubrics where you can choose different templates within those rubrics and create your own rubric to use within your class. Some tips to consider when creating Google Sites, portfolios through Google Sites, is you definitely want to change the sharing permissions. And a lot of these things we will get into when we create our own template. So changing sharing permissions, and again, anytime I have a link, that is a link to a resource. Consider privacy issues, because when we do a lot of those self-reflections, you want to make sure that students don't have any self-identifiers, such as using full first and last name. So consider using student numbers or initials, first name only or first name, last name. Consider privacy concerns with sharing personal information, especially with the littles. Um, Perhaps only using information and sharing permissions within a school's domain so that it's just not out there on the internet. Making sure that you have clear and explicit verbal instructions, particularly in the elementary world or with some of the younger kids. It takes them a while to set up their portfolios. And you may need multiple class periods to set up and also implement the portfolio process throughout the year. Within secondary world, some of the same things, making sure that you change those sharing permissions and remembering to save and publish each time you edit. Figuring out which ways you want to allow your students to share this information with you. You could also create your own teacher website webpage where you link all of the portfolios in one place. together, or if you want your students to turn those links into Google Classroom or Canvas or Schoology, whatever LMS you use, and some of the same privacy concerns that you would have with the elementary world, especially for students who are under 13. So let's take some time to create. So we are going to have 5 tasks that we complete. The goal of these tasks is to leave with a template that you could use and implement in your classroom or within your school next year. So the first thing that I would like you to do is just take 1 minute to go back and look at those 3 slides with the templates, or even your think time slides. Choose one of those templates that you would like to work from in the sandbox. So only choose either the advisory template, the academic template, or the project-based learning template. So just take about a minute to choose your template and then wait on instruction. Now that you have chosen your template, we are going to make a copy of the template so that it can be saved in your drive as well as in your Google Site portfolio. Do note that you must have a Google account to participate in this activity and to make a copy of the template. If you need to create a Google account, I have linked instructions right here. You may pause the video to access those instructions if you need to create a Google account. Now, let's make a copy of the template. So I am going to go back to our project-based learning template. Choose the slide that you plan to make a copy of the template. Click on these instructions. And in these instructions, I have given you step by step on how to create your template. So I am going to click on the project-based learning template. I'm going to click on that link. It will now open up in my drive. To make a copy of this template, this exact template, I'll need to right-click, click on Make a Copy, and this will just take a few minutes. You will see a copy of your template in your drive as such. And then you can also go over to Google Sites, and you'll notice that there is a copy of that template in Google Sites. So you can access this in both ways. Now let's go back over to our task sheet. Now that we have our website open, what we want to do is edit the name of that class, and then we're going to choose a theme. So I'm going to work from my PBL portfolio. And Google Sites is very intuitive. So now I'm in my edit page. So I can simply change the name by clicking on the box. Let's just say I want to change the name of the portfolio. I can edit and I can change the different fonts and size. I can edit any of this information down here, and I can also change my themes. So if I want to change the color and the font of the themes, I can do that. So let's just take 1 minute and change the name of our portfolio, as well as choose and design a theme. Pause the video and take 1 minute to complete this task. Now let's move on to task number 2. In task number 2, we are going to insert an image into our website, and we're also going to insert a video and a calendar. So let's take a look at how to do that. To insert an image into your portfolio, you can simply click on the Insert button at the top and then click on Images. From here, you can either upload an image that is saved on your computer, or you can select an image from Google. So if I wanted to upload an image, I can simply click on upload and I can upload from my computer. Or if I would like to select an image, I can select from my Google Drive if I have images there. I can also paste a URL here, or I can search for an image and simply click on that image and insert it in. I can then move this picture and edit. I can make it larger or smaller, excuse me. And I can link this image to another web page. So I can simply add my image here. I can also insert a video. So I can insert a video that is saved to my drive, or if I want to insert a YouTube video, I can find a YouTube video that I would like to upload. I can then simply click on that video and I can select and I can move that video into my website. Lastly, I can insert a calendar. So if I would like to insert my calendar, I can then click on the calendar that I want to insert, and I can insert my calendar here. So let's pause the video and complete those 3 steps. Let's insert a picture, a video, and a calendar. Let's move on to task number 3. In task number 3, we are going to link 2 to 3 assignments from Google Drive or 2 to 3 documents from Google Drive into our document. I'm also going to show you how to force a copy of your assignments so that each time your students enter into your template, they're not all writing and typing on the same document. So let's go back to our template. And so what we want to do, I'm going to go to a different page. I can also get to my pages from the Pages tab up here. And so what I want to do is insert 3 documents or 2 to 3 assignments into my website. I can also choose the layout for how I want those implemented. This is particularly helpful for when you want to insert images and links at the same time. So let's go to my drive. Again, you have to have a Google account so that you can sync this in. And so then I can choose this assignment and I can enter it in. I can also choose 2 more documents. To enter into my website. A big note that you would want to do, so your students need to change the sharing permissions on their documents so that teachers can access them. So to change the sharing permissions, you'll want to open up that document, and this is before you enter it into your website. You want to click on the share button. And then you want to change. So typically things are set to restricted or within your school's domain, but you want to change it to either within the school's domain or anyone with the link. So I'll change mine to anyone with the link, which means that anyone with this link can access it. And then click done. And now when those students enter that information into their website, they will not have the error page that reads, you need to get access. So if your students turn in documents on their websites, but it says you'll need to change the sharing permission or you need access, tell students to make sure that they change the sharing permissions. Another good hack, especially for teachers when you are setting up your templates initially before you share them with students, is you want to force them to make a copy of your documents. To do so, simply go to the URL link up at the top and then change the word edit to copy. This will now force these students to make a copy of this particular document that they can complete so that they're not all writing and typing on your master copy. So let's take 1 minute to complete task number 3, which includes linking 2 to 3 assignments from your drive and making sure that you change the sharing permissions. If you want to create forced copies of those assignments, you can do that as well. Let's move on to task number 4. In task number 4, we are going to insert a new page, and then we're also going to make a duplicate of those pages. And then we are going to link other pages to various pages throughout your website. So we're pretty much going to manipulate the pages on our website. To do this, to add another page to your website, simply click on the plus sign for new page. Then you'll give your page a name. And now I have a new page. I can design this page however I want to and change my page. I can go ahead and insert a layout. I can insert multiple layouts. And if I like the way this page looks, and I don't want to recreate this page over and over and over again, I can simply find my page, click on the dots, and click duplicate page. Now I can either change the name of that, so I can keep it as copy of sample, or I can change the name. And now I have a duplicate copy of that page so that once I find a template and design it the way I want to, I can simply just make a copy of that template and change the name. I can also move the order of my pages up and down, so I can change this order. And then I can link to other pages within this website. To do this, I simply need to create my link. So I need to create that word, highlight, and then link, insert link. I can now link that word to different pages. So if I want that link to go to that page within my website, I can click apply. And now when I click on that link, it will send me to the other part of my Google Sites. So it's taking just a little bit of time to form, but let me show you what this looks like. If you were to preview this particular page, it simply jumps over to the page that I just designed. So very easy peasy. So in our task, let's insert another class page, add a page, make a copy of one of your pages, and then create a link. Task 5, our final task. So I'm going to show you how to preview your Google site, publish your Google site, and then save that template to make a copy in the same way that you made a copy of my template. Finally, we're going to upload that template to an LMS, and the LMS that I chose to use for this particular session is Google Classroom. So let's get started. So we've completed our designing, we've added everything to our website page. And so what we want to do is take a preview at what everything looks like, as we want to make sure all of our links work and it looks exactly the way we want to present it to our students. So I can click on that preview button at the top, and then I can simply go throughout my website, click on each of the links. I can scroll down. I can make sure that all of my links and the pages are designed in the way that I want them to, and they look exactly the way I want them to look. I can play all of my videos to make sure that my videos work, as well as my pictures. So now let me exit the preview. And now what I want to do is publish that preview. So it's going to ask me to include a web address. I typically keep it the name of my website. Who can view my website? You can change this So you can change this to anybody within your particular district, or you can make this website public and publish. And so now that my website is published, it is currently saved. It is now saved in my sites. And so now what I want to do is go through the process of saving that website in my drive so I can create a template for my students. So I need to go over to Google Drive first, and then I need to click the plus sign and create a new folder. I want to name this copy portfolio. And then I want to search for the name of my website in my drive. So copy of PBL portfolio. And I want to type that all the way out, because if you simply click on the link, then it's going to take you to the website. So from here, I want to now right click and move to that folder. By the way, when you're scrolling down, your folders are in alphabetical order. So I want to move that portfolio here. And now I want to go to that folder. And I can see that my portfolio template is now saved in this folder. From here, I want to click that down arrow and I want to click on Get Link. This is the important part. You want to change the permissions to either within your school system or anyone with the link. For now, I will keep it with anyone with the link. So then I can copy this link. I can go to Google Classroom. And now I can share that link with my students. So I can use it as an announcement, or I can create an assignment. I can share this link with my students. And now this link will take them to that drive, in which they can do the same process that we started at the beginning of our task, which is right click and make a copy. So pause the video and complete this process. You can then upload it to your preferred LMS. So that could be Google Classroom, Schoology, Canvas, or whatever way you communicate with your students. So pause this video and take a second to complete those steps. Congratulations! You have officially created your own template for your Google site. I want to go to the next slide so that I can show you guys some resources. So I know that we went through that really, really fast, and some of the kind of intro into how to build a Google site steps I did not go through for the sake of time. But I created this resource slide here that will help you get started. So if you have never used Google Sites before, you can click on this link, which will help you get started with using Google Sites. If you've used Google Sites before, but just kind of need a hands-on document for specific skills, you can click on this link. If you need some resources for how to build portfolios with students or different ideas, you can use this link here. If you want specific directions on how to create that template in the way that we just did in task 5, I have a link to a video here which will show you that process. I also have linked how you can create forced copies of all of your documents. And then this last link is just a resource which uses Google Sites in different and various ways with your students. So you can use this link here, or excuse me, this slide here as a resource for setting up your document. Thank you so much for attending my session. If you would please click on the link to the post survey and complete the post survey to give me feedback on this presentation today. And I thank you again so much for attending this presentation.